Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. Marcus forced Grace to divorce him for another woman, which suited Grace perfectly. That scumbag was about to lose everything. The day after I found out I was pregnant, Marcus demanded I go to the clerk's office to finalize our divorce. His mistress, Tiffany, clung to Marcus, flaunting her triumph. I smirked as I left, knowing that scumbag was about to lose everything. I sat in the clerk's office wearing a white suit, the prenatal test results from yesterday's hospital visit tucked in my pocket. Next to me, Marcus was laughing and chatting with his mistress, Tiffany, who was dressed like an ostentatious woman. They were happily discussing where to go pick out baby clothes after getting their marriage certificate. Marcus clutched the 2 queue numbers he'd picked up that morning, one for marriage registration and one for divorce registration. They couldn't wait another moment. I scrolled on my phone with a smirk, resisting the urge to make a sarcastic remark. Right at 9 o'clock, the three of us smoothly took our seats at the reception desk. The clerk, unfazed by our unusual arrangement, swiftly processed our paperwork. I breathed a sigh of relief when I received the divorce decree. Finally, this disgusting marriage was over. I put on my sunglasses and started to leave. But Tiffany, the mistress, grabbed my arm. "Grace," she began, "why don't you wait for us to finish getting married? We could give you a ride." She smirked, clearly hoping to see me flustered. I put on my sunglasses and smiled, telling her, "Miss Tiffany, you're 3 years older than me. No need to be so polite. And did you know that after a divorce is finalized, you have to wait a month before you can get married again?" At my words, Tiffany instantly flew into a rage. She started shouting and yelling in the clerk's office, and Marcus, my ex-husband, had to reluctantly whisper reassurances to her. The security guard escorted the two of them to the exit. Marcus's face flushed, then paled. He had completely lost his face. While restraining Tiffany's flailing hand, he looked at me, seemingly wanting to say something more. I suppressed my urge to laugh and walked towards the door. Tiffany, not yet satisfied, lunged at me, trying to grab my arm again. "Grace," she sneered, "since we can't get married anyway, I'll have Marcus drive you. Look at you, divorced and without a car. How will you get home?" A dark figure suddenly rushed over from the side, a slap landing squarely on Tiffany's face. "You shameless cheating couple. Let go of her." I knew instantly it was Chloe, my fiery and dynamic best friend, who had long detested the two of them. I grabbed Chloe's hand and pulled her into the waiting Rolls-Royce. I rolled down the window, revealing the Starlight headliner that Marcus had always dreamed of owning. I softly told him, "Deal with the consequences yourself." Soon he would realize just how much he had lost. Marcus and I had been married for less than 2 years. Because of his humble origins, my parents had initially disapproved of our marriage. To spare his pride, I hadn't taken him back to my family home for the entire 2 years. In his eyes, my family background wasn't much better than his, and he believed our aloofness stemmed from looking down on him. For the past 6 months, Marcus had been frequently traveling for work and often didn't come home at night. After I discovered suspicious clues, he confessed directly that he had found true love. I had seen his mistress's picture on his phone. She was far from my league, like an unrefined woman adorned with colorful feathers. To say he'd found true love was less accurate than saying Tiffany had restored the self-esteem he'd lost with me. Considering that I also had my faults, I endured and observed for another 6 months. That observation led to me seeing Marcus taking Tiffany for a prenatal checkup. He had claimed he had no time to accompany me to the hospital. Yet, he was there with Tiffany for her checkup. In the hospital, I put away my prenatal test results and calmly walked up to them. "Stop hiding and sneaking around," I said. "Go to the clerk's office tomorrow and get your divorce finalized." When he saw me, he didn't even ask why I was at the hospital. He blurted out, "What about the house and car?" So he'd been enduring all this time just worrying about that. I couldn't care less about that money, but I wasn't going to let him off scot-free. "The house will be split 50-50, and the car is yours." Marcus was completely relieved and agreed to finalize the divorce the next day. The entire process felt like two strangers discussing what to have for dinner tomorrow. That evening, Chloe dropped me off at the villa my parents had bought for me before my marriage. After usually being cooped up in a small 800-foot apartment, Returning here felt like a huge relief. What are you going to do? Are you going to get rid of the baby? Chloe sighed, her eyes full of concern for me. Chloe, I said. For someone from my background, having a man or not makes no difference. What's there to regret? Raising the child as a single parent is the best outcome, isn't it? Of course I would keep this child. After all, Marcus' genes weren't bad. No father, but a child and an inexhaustible amount of money from my family. That's the ideal situation for a wealthy woman. Seeing my nonchalance, Chloe relaxed. You let that cheating couple off too easily, giving him the house and car. Chloe fumed, waving her fists as if she wanted to punch them from afar. If you ask me, you should have taken everything with you. Marcus actually fell for that unrefined woman. He must be blind. Chloe, I replied. Even a cornered rabbit bites. I'm not short on this small amount of money. He didn't get a single cent of my family's wealth. So what's this bit of money? Compared to my family's fortune, this house and car were just the tip of the iceberg. Marcus, full of himself, always wanted to make big money. The real revenge would truly begin when he realized what he had actually lost. Because I remembered seeing Tiffany with a toy boy boyfriend while shopping. Marcus might even be raising someone else's child. The next morning, my parents heard about my situation and stormed into the gated community, dragging me out of bed and taking me home. The moment I arrived home, I was treated like a princess with fine foods like bird's nest and sea cucumber stewed for me. A group of house staff along with Eleanor surrounded me and raged at Marcus. My daughter was raised like a princess for over 20 years, Eleanor exclaimed, only to suffer hardship with his family. And then, after getting pregnant, he dared to bring up divorce and find a mistress. You wait. I'll have William get even with him for you. I held Eleanor's hand, which was pounding the table, fearing she might shatter her jade bracelet. I had thought Marcus and I would cut ties completely after that. But to my surprise, I received a WhatsApp message from him that very morning. Grace, it read. Was that Chloe who picked you up yesterday? I had no idea you had a best friend who drove a Rolls-Royce. That gossipy curiosity. Sure enough, seeing the Rolls-Royce immediately piqued his interest. There's a lot about my business you don't know, I texted back. And we should contact each other less from now on. I was currently watching TV in bed, and his message instantly ruined my mood. I have something I need to discuss with her, he replied. Could you put me in touch with her? I hadn't noticed it before, but now just seeing his profile picture grossed me out. I figured it was my unborn child also being grossed out by its father, so I quickly deleted Marcus and blocked him to avoid further annoyance. The next day, as Chloe and I were on a shopping spree at a luxury boutique, we heard a shriek outside the door. That unrefined woman, Tiffany, dragged Marcus into the store. Grace! She shrieked, her voice sharp and loud. Grace, you're grating on my nerves like fingernails on a chalkboard. Where do you get the money to buy clothes in a store like this? You must be Grace's best friend, Marcus interjected, his eyes gleaming as he stared at Chloe. Hello, my name is Marcus. From the moment he walked in, Marcus had been staring at Chloe, his eyes shining. This couple was truly a persistent nuisance. A sales associate, seeing her VIP being harassed, came over and subtly asked if I wanted them to be escorted out. I shook my head, wanting to see just how far Marcus' shamelessness would go. Chloe shivered with disgust at Marcus' gaze, completely ignored him, and continued helping me pick out clothes. I picked up a trench coat and signaled to the sales associate that I wanted to try it on. Seeing this, Tiffany rushed over in a flash and elbowed me aside. Sales associate, she declared. I like this one. I'm trying it on. Chloe quickly rushed to steady me while Marcus also came over to support Tiffany. He glanced at the price tag on the coat and tugged Tiffany's sleeve. Honey, this coat is over $50,000. Let's just look, okay? Tiffany, fueled by a desire to compete with me, stubbornly clung to the coat, refusing to let go. Seeing the situation, the sales associate quickly intervened. Excuse me, madam. Miss Grace is one of our VIPs and has priority for trying on clothes. If you'd like it, please wait until Miss Grace has finished trying it on to decide. After that unrefined woman touched it, there was no way I wanted the coat, so I simply handed it to her. Take it, I said. I never want anything someone else has already set their sights on. Tiffany pestered Marcus in the store until he bought it. She didn't seem to care, but we felt embarrassed for her. Marcus, unable to refuse, reluctantly agreed. While I was in the changing room, Marcus leaned closer to me. "Grace," he whispered, "how are you a VIP at this store? I didn't make much money before. I had no idea you were spending my money so recklessly." Hearing this, Chloe couldn't take it anymore. "Your maker's salary wouldn't even qualify you for VIP status here." "Don't make us laugh," Chloe scoffed, fanning the air as she spoke. "As if Marcus' presence would contaminate us. It's fine for you to buy clothes for your unrefined woman. But Grace buys something and gets lectured. Get lost. Stop being an eyesore." Marcus remained undeterred, guessing that the VIP status might belong to my wealthy best friend, Chloe. So he took a step closer to Chloe. "What's your name, miss?" Marcus asked, his expression more sincere than ever. "Could we exchange numbers on WhatsApp? I have something important to tell you." I held back Chloe's hand, which was ready to strike, and subtly signaled for her to agree. Mainly, I wanted to see what Marcus had to say. Seeing that Chloe had given him her WhatsApp number, Marcus, enduring the pain of paying, quickly settled the bill and hurried out of the store with his mistress. The sales associate, before they were out of earshot, loudly asked, "Miss Grace, who were those people? If it weren't out of respect for you, we would have kicked them out much sooner." I watched their retreating backs and smiled, saying, "I have no idea. Probably just some distant arranged relatives of mine." Chloe and I had just settled into a restaurant, hardly settled down, when Marcus' WhatsApp message eagerly came through. "Hello, miss. What should I call you?" Chloe couldn't stand it, so she handed her phone to me to deal with it. "My last name is Tang. Miss Chloe, hello. It's like this. Miss Chloe, I'd like to talk to you about Grace." I didn't reply, simply watching Marcus make a fool of himself. "Grace has spoiled brat tendencies. I'm sure you've suffered a lot because of her. I'd like to apologize to you on her behalf. Since you're friends with Grace, you're also my friend. After seeing you that day, I really admired you. If there's an opportunity in the future, we should have dinner. It's on me. I'm now an executive at a Fortune 500 company. I'm sure I'll be able to help you in the future. So feel free to call on me if you need anything." Chloe leaned over to glance at the phone, then covered her mouth in disgust. "Grace," Chloe asked, "how did you ever fall for him?" "Right. How did I fall for him? The company he worked for was Williams. I guess I was drawn to his hard work and diligence. Seeing his willingness to work hard and his enthusiasm, I even secretly had William promote him. Even though William didn't think highly of him and repeatedly told me not to promote such a person. After his promotion, he constantly put down me, who was quietly working in a junior position at the company. So I simply resigned and stayed home. Now that I think about it, his enthusiasm was the kind that flirts with everyone. He'd try to hit on any girl he found attractive. I was just naive, fresh out of college, and easily taken in by that kind of warmth. Friends at the company told me that Marcus had exceptionally brought Tiffany into the company last month. How could a pregnant woman be hired by the company? Did HR just go along with it? Small position, big ego. For the past few months at home, my family had treated me like a precious treasure, barely letting me move. I was allowed to stroll around the yard for a maximum of 1 lap each day before being ushered back inside lest I catch a cold. Chloe had been enduring Marcus' intermittent concerned harassment for 2 months and finally ran out of patience. She decided to vent her frustration both for herself and for me. Having nothing else to do, I decided to tag along to the company to watch the show. As soon as Chloe entered, she specifically requested Marcus to be her host. The moment Marcus saw Chloe, his happy expression was impossible to hide. He clearly thought this was an opportunity handed to him. He gave Chloe a tour and introduced the company while I sat in the reception area waiting for her to return. Even during this short time, Tiffany wasn't idle. I'd always wondered why other mistresses tried to avoid the ex-wife, yet mine acted with such impunity. She insisted on being aggressively confrontational. "Oh, I thought I was mistaken," Tiffany called out, spotting me from afar. "Isn't that Grace? Are you here to see my husband?" Since she had taken Marcus away, Tiffany quickly brought in a glass of water to provoke me. Some people just get more agitated when you ignore them. Putting on her professional airs, she circled around me. "Ah, it must be nice not to have to work," she sighed. "Unlike me, I'm pregnant and still have to go to the office. It's so tiring, but luckily my husband is always by my side to look after me. People from families like yours just can't compare." She knew they couldn't compare, yet she insisted on trying. She was desperate to see envy or jealousy on my face, but I simply remained unmoved, engrossed and scrolling on my phone. Just as Tiffany's throat was practically smoking from all her talking, Chloe returned with Marcus, followed by Marcus's supervisor and various members of his project team. The person leading them knew me. He used to be William's assistant and specifically greeted me when he saw me there. I suspected Chloe had deliberately brought them to humiliate Marcus and his mistress. Upon entering, the assistant suddenly frowned at Tiffany, indicating that Tiffany wasn't very popular at the company. "Miss Chloe," Marcus began, "do you think there's an opportunity for further collaboration?" Marcus flashed a smile he clearly thought was charming, revealing a set of white teeth. He had always been very confident about his looks. "No," Chloe stated flatly. "I'm extremely dissatisfied with the person your company sent to give the presentation. There's a complete lack of basic professionalism. The introduction contained no project details whatsoever, only self-promotion. Anyone who didn't know your company worked on projects would think they were selling themselves." Chloe spoke without any regard for his feelings, and Marcus' smile faltered. Marcus' supervisor just shot him a glare. Tiffany immediately stood up and started shouting loudly as if her own business was being ruined. "This is a personal vendetta," she shrieked. "You're just mad that my husband found me and dumped Chloe, aren't you? You're using your little bit of power to try and put us in our place. Honey, my husband doesn't need your opportunities, right? We won't do her project." She then lifted her chin towards Marcus. Talk about the two of them. The company had never stopped. Everyone knew Marcus had been married before, and that Tiffany wasn't his original wife. Now, not only had this mistress been hired through an irregular process, but she was treating the office like her personal home and yelling at a client. Everyone's expressions turned amused. Chloe, with a diva attitude, questioned the executives present. "Is this the caliber of your company?" she demanded. "Is this a chaotic public market letting someone like her conduct business?" Marcus pressed down on Tiffany and then forced a smile back onto his face. "Miss Chloe," Marcus began, "I was presumptuous earlier. I genuinely admire you, and seeing that you're my ex-wife's friend, I tried to get closer. Rest assured, our desire to collaborate is sincere." True to Marcus's character, he was incredibly slick and adaptable. "Next time you come, replace this person," Chloe said, pointing at Marcus. Seeing that he wasn't giving up, she added, "Then we can talk about collaboration." After this lesson, Marcus probably wouldn't dare to provoke Chloe again. We stood up to leave. As I reached the door, I turned back and pointed at Tiffany. "Since she's pregnant, maybe don't have her involved in projects anymore. Wouldn't want anyone thinking we're bullying her." Tiffany froze for a moment. Not long after we left, we heard Tiffany screaming and yelling in the conference room, and Marcus couldn't quiet her down. "You like strong women. You like white-collar professionals. And you despised me for not going out to make money. Well, I'll make sure your Tiffany stays home for you to support. Let's see how much you like that." Afterward, not only was Tiffany fired from the company, but Marcus, who had irregularly hired her, was also investigated by the company and demoted. I heard they were originally going to be fired together, but Marcus, in a rather despicable move, claimed that Tiffany was only hired by him after she had already passed the HR interview. Out of humanitarian concern, the company only demoted him, choosing not to fire him for the time being. At the end of our company gala, William invited me to attend with the intention of laying groundwork for the future and hoping I'd interact more with the company's senior management. I sat at the head table watching the company's executives come over to propose a toast. Marcus was the only one who wasn't an executive yet still came to propose a toast with ambition written all over his face. As he approached, he saw me sitting at the head table and looked utterly stunned. Then he glanced at the chairman beside me, momentarily forgetting his toast speech, and simply stood there motionless for a long while. Uncle, an old friend of William's, saw him approach and pointed him out to the shareholders at the table. "Oh look, this is Marcus," Uncle announced. "He's the design department manager. William, he used to be your son-in-law, didn't he?" Marcus's glass wobbled precariously, nearly slipping from his grasp. He managed to hold it, then trembled as he took a step closer. Mr. William. Hello, Marcus stammered. My name is Marcus. William didn't even lift his head, not granting him a single expression. I heard you divorced Grace a while ago. What a pity. Such a good in-law family, Uncle said, truly sarcastic. He stood there for nearly 10 minutes. Despite having experienced so many grand occasions, he still couldn't find the right words. Sweat trickled down his face, his lips trembled, his complexion was pale, and his mind raced through countless possibilities. He never dreamed that the person he had always wanted to curry favor with was now so close yet also impossibly out of reach. He simply thought I was aloof and looked down on him and just wanted to replace me. How had he, by such an unfortunate coincidence, lost such a powerful backer? Forcing himself to regain composure, he decided this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity was too precious for him to be sheepish and instantly put on a different act. William began. It's my fault. I was deluded when I abandoned Grace. I'll definitely make it up to her afterward, Grace. After speaking, he approached me with his glass, wanting to make amends and gain William's favor. It had been a long time since we'd last met, and my belly was already showing my pregnancy. Seeing my baby bump, he paused again, unable to utter a single polite word for a long while. He used every brain cell he had in those few minutes, and suddenly his face lit up. He thought his chance had come. Grace, is this my... Why didn't you tell me? William, it's all my fault. I'll go home and pack my things immediately. Come back and treat Grace well. I'll personally come to your house to apologize, William. Everyone at the table watched William's former son-in-law, such a fickle person, and no one dared to breathe a word. William smiled and patted my hand. This is my daughter. There's nothing she can't have. The child in her belly is my grandson, the future heir of our Song family. It's best for some people to keep their distance. Marcus didn't get angry. Hearing that his son was the future heir, he immediately put on a fawning smile. Yes, William. Absolutely. It's all my fault. Looking at the man in front of me, I really had doubts. With such a thick skin, he could succeed at anything. Why bother with this? I rested my chin on my hand, watching Marcus. Instead of returning to his seat, he stayed at the head table, networking with everyone, acting like the father of the family heir. Everyone at the table was William's friend. No matter how sarcastic they were to him, he didn't get angry, just kept a polite smile and introduced himself. Get out, William declared. Realizing that composure was useless against such a person, he shouted the command loud enough for everyone around to hear. Get out. The guy could no longer maintain his smile and slunk back to his seat at the far end of the table. The next morning, as expected, Marcus showed up at the villa with a large pile of gifts for apology. William wasn't home and Eleanor was out getting a beauty treatment, so only Chloe and I were at the house. Marcus entered, looked around the house, and then finally spoke. Grace, he said. Why did you never tell me that Chairman was your father? If you had, I would never have treated you this way. After speaking, he even started strolling around the room with an expression that suggested he owned the place. Tell you what, I retorted. Tell you I was pregnant, so you wouldn't flirt with Tiffany, wouldn't go to her prenatal checkups, or wouldn't marry her? He quickly sat down in front of me. If I had known, I would have stayed far away from her. I just felt like you always looked down on me, which is why I sought out Tiffany. I only felt she adored me. Honestly, how could she compare to you? She's just an unrefined woman. Actually, it was only once. Just Marcus, I interrupted. Since the mistake has been made, let's just stay out of each other's way from now on. There's no need for you to come here being a nuisance again. I'll go back and divorce her. Wife, please give me another chance. Marcus abandoned all pretense of dignity, directly kneeling before me. The house staff even brought out snacks and watched his performance, yet he didn't blush at all. I hate things that have been used by others, I said. I find them dirty. I'm the child's father. You can't just let the child grow up without a father, can you? He insisted, sounding a little desperate. His true colors were showing. Given my family and status, I replied, do you really think my child would lack anything or need a father like you? All smiles vanished from his face. Knowing that everything was irreversible, he stood up. Grace, he said, this counts as hiding assets. Your money is also our marital property. Giving me only one car and half a house during the divorce is clearly wrong, isn't it? After he said that, Chloe could no longer control her temper. She stood up, kicked him, and called for security. Get out, you jerk. I've never met anyone more disgusting than you. Marcus clutched the spot where he'd been kicked, glaring fiercely at us. Marcus, I said, you can go find a lawyer. I'm not afraid of that. I had our prenuptial agreement notarized and you signed it at the time. It's not my fault if you didn't read it carefully. Marcus was kicked out. The entire gated community got quite a show. When William returned and learned Marcus had been there, he immediately messaged HR. Fire this person tomorrow. I calculated in my mind this was the second thing he cherished that he'd lost, his incredibly proud job. From now on he would be on his own. A few months later, I gave birth to my son Henry in a private hospital room. William found me the best doctors and medical resources in the entire city. When Tiffany came to visit me, she said she'd seen Marcus downstairs. Tiffany was giving birth on the same day as me. What an ill-fated coincidence. Tiffany had lost her job during her pregnancy, so she likely didn't even have maternity benefits. Marcus had also lost his job, so Tiffany had to give birth in a shared hospital room. The baby was a girl, and Chloe said Marcus still seemed quite happy. Marcus, after seeing Chloe and making a few inquiries, learned that I was also giving birth at this hospital, so he came up to visit out of courtesy and custom. My house staff stood by my window holding my baby, cautiously eyeing Marcus, afraid he might try to harm me. Marcus, seeing his son, was quite happy. His happiness didn't last long before Tiffany, in a hospital gown, burst through the door with her daughter yelling, "Oh, so this is what you're up to, you bastard!" she screamed. Not in my hospital room checking on me, but up here meeting your old flame. What? Still have unresolved feelings even after having children. Her howl disturbed the entire 6 floors hospital room area. Newborns in other rooms were startled into crying. Marcus quickly went to pull Tiffany away. Tiffany, ignoring everything, threw a tantrum on the floor in the hospital room area, wailing about her miserable fate and how she got stuck with such a useless man. Marcus's face was grim. He didn't want to look at her anymore and let her carry on with her tantrum. Seeing that no one was paying her any mind, the woman turned her anger towards me. She lunged at me in a flash, but my house staff, with impressive reflexes, restrained her. It's typical of that woman. She always turns her anger towards me, ignoring the scumbag who was the real cause. You shameless thing, she shrieked. Marcus is divorced, yet you're still getting involved. A mistress of all people was self-righteously accusing me. She mistook my silence for weakness. What's there for you to scream about? I said. Are you sure your daughter is his child? She doesn't look like him at all. Don't they say daughters usually resemble their fathers? My softly delivered jab made Marcus's face change instantly. Tiffany, who had been loudly screaming, suddenly fell silent, her mouth agape for a long time, unable to utter a single sound. I guess she was having doubts herself now, feeling really uneasy. Oh, you. Grace didn't say anything, but I already felt something was off. Now it looks like there are signs. Tell me the truth. Is this really my daughter? You bastard. How dare you suspect me? I'll fight you to the death. The two of them started fighting violently right by my bedside, completely ignoring me. Tiffany's physique was surprisingly good. She held her own perfectly just after giving birth, even managing to overpower Marcus. I watched the spectacle with a smile, musing that Marcus had finally found someone who could truly keep him in line. A group of nurses from the private hospital room wing rushed in and escorted the two of them away. As he was being led away, he yelled, "Doctor, we want a paternity test." 2 days later, I was discharged from the hospital. Marcus sent a message. The child isn't mine. Wife, I was wrong. Please give me another chance. Our child can't be without a father. I replied. Sorry, my son is the Song family heir. He doesn't need a father. At this point he had nothing left. No status, no job, and he had even taken care of someone else's wife. Marcus returned to the gated community, begging to see his son. But the security guard, recognizing him as the one who had been kicked out last time, wouldn't even let him through the main gate. Undeterred, he loitered outside the gated community every day. When I saw Tiffany again, she looked as if she'd aged 10 years, utterly exhausted. Her figure was that of a middle-aged woman who had gained weight. "I've come to you for compensation," she announced. "Marcus and I broke up entirely because of you, so you owe me money." I laughed in exasperation. A mistress who destroyed someone else's family, kept a toy boy boyfriend, and got pregnant with his child, then had the audacity to demand compensation from the ex-wife. Her thick skin truly matched Marcus. "If you want to find someone, go find Marcus," I told her. "It's useless to come to me. We have absolutely no connection. If you hadn't interfered, Marcus and I would be living happily right now." I blew lightly on my perfectly manicured nails, smiling as I looked at her. "I knew about your situation long ago. If you hadn't caused a scene in front of me, I wouldn't have bothered with you. We're both women. Why aren't you going after this scumbag for compensation? What good is coming to me? And besides, do you think I broke you two up?" Marcus came begging for reconciliation the moment he found out I was a rich second generation. "You're the one with bad judgment who picked the wrong person. Go confront him." Tiffany tried to argue further, but I sent her the video of Marcus entering the gated community and kneeling to beg for reconciliation. Tiffany clenched her fists in anger, looking like she was ready to take Marcus down with her. "That's right, let them tear each other apart." I heard that after Marcus abandoned her, Tiffany's toy boy also turned against her. Both of them had originally intended to live off Marcus. Now that she had completely lost her support, Tiffany had no more reservations. This crazy woman was formidable. Despite marrying Marcus, she had always kept an ace up her sleeve. She went back and produced a stack of evidence, accusing Marcus of having signed unauthorized contracts and embezzling company funds during his employment. The company naturally couldn't take it lying down. They immediately launched an investigation which indeed uncovered a wider corruption scheme, leading to the dismissal of several individuals and a lawsuit against Marcus. Now that the scoundrel was completely preoccupied with his own troubles and no longer had time to bother me, William was overjoyed to have a grandson and dedicated himself to raising him at home. After my maternity leave, he assigned me to report to the company. This time I learned my lesson and didn't start from an entry-level position. I went straight into senior management. After all, I graduated from a prestigious university. I couldn't let William down. A few years later, Chloe and I were sitting in a coffee shop, having coffee when we happened to see Marcus, now working in food delivery. He stared at me for a moment, then didn't dare to approach or strike up a conversation and slunk away. Seeing his wrinkled face and dim eyes, he had long lost the swagger of his former days when he'd clamored to ride in a Rolls-Royce. In that moment, I was grateful for Tiffany. Without her, who knows how long I might have been tied to that jerk. Now I was a wealthy woman while he had returned to the life he was always meant to have, having completely lost everything he could have had. What a comfortable life I was living.